Coming up in this episode of the Dodgy Buggy, we JB weld it, we give it a tweak. The drifters eat some KFC chicken, and we finally get the buggy down to take on the big boys of RC drifting. It's all coming up in this episode. Here's Albie the toy poodle.
Rightio, back to the Team Associated Buggy. Can we make it drift? So as we've shown in the last video, this would not steer. So basically what we're going to do here is we need some massive lock, and the problem is that arm there, flipping over, that arm there runs into the caster block. See that? Click, click. So as in this picture here,
if you look in this picture here, this is the Yokomo drift car. There is no caster block, so they can get a full lock on the steering, and that's what we're trying to achieve.
And we're going to make it look very similar. So what we're going to do is, we've decided the caster block's just going to disappear. We're going to keep the steering block, so the steering block will remain. So that steering block will remain. But what we're going to do is, we're going to use a Traxxas / steering link, and we're going to run that from there onto the top of the steering block. So the caster block will go, and we'll run one from the bottom onto the arm. So we'll join that up, we'll keep the arm to there, we'll chop it off, and we'll run that over onto there. Do you reckon it'll work, boys? Will it be a drift car? Silence here. Any comments? Just Do you reckon, buddy?
Give me 7.
Will it work?
Oh, it might get around, it might be a bit messy, but...
Yeah. So what we're going to do here, this link here, it's going to go, caster block's going, so this link's going to go from here onto the top of the steering block. So there's no caster block. I'm going to chop the arm off, I'm going to run a link onto the bottom of the steering block, and then it'll get 100% full lock. So we'll try that, and we're also going to get the chassis, throw it in the bender, and take the bend out so it hasn't got as much kick up in the front.
Rightio, so here's our angle that we're working with. So that's our angle. We want to get those wheels flatter. Bit of a dodgy way, we'll just lock him in there. We'll give him a little kink. And a little bit more than that. It's a 7075 chassis, so it's pretty stiff. That should sort him out. Okay, so that's angle's got a lot better. I'll go this way now. A little bit more. Look at that. Beautiful. Give that a crack. Rightio, so our chassis is now completely modified. That's got no kick up now, so that should straighten the wheels out. So let's get the front end back on and check it out.
Rightio, so we've got cut the arm away. So if you see the arm's cut away, we've used Traxxas Torrid. We've just basically drilled straight through it we've attached the shock to it there. We're just going to see if this works, but that camber link will now, that'll become top camber link. So if we look at that, it's got tons of lock. We'll just have to set it up on the car and see how it goes, but it should achieve a ton more lock. But it's all just slapping it together and see if it works, and then we can make it a bit nicer. But the aim here is just to see if it actually works. So we'll just keep going and we'll get on the other side. Rightio, so we're back on the associated drift buggy project. So I have managed to get full lock that way. So that's got heaps of lock now. So that's a slash camber link, dodged into the arm, so it's chopped up and put in there, but plenty of lock that way. Now if we come around this way, our problem is it runs into our dodgy camber link, which is another Traxxas steering rod. So what we might do, because we don't really care about this, we might remove this bolt here, we'll put a longer bolt, and we'll just pack it up so that the camber link comes above the tyre, and that should give it more lock that way. So we'll try that now. Rightio, so the dodgy buggy now has full lock that way, and it has full lock that way, just by clearing that tyre. So that's as dodgy as it gets. But now we can get steering lock. This thing might drift. You reckon, Cameron? Will it drift?
Yeah, yeah.
Alright, so
Better than an RD.
cool.
Yeah.
Rightio. So these dodgy little arms, we've got to put some JB Weld on, which I'm applying now. This would be the most high-tech drift car around. So we'll just put some JB. This is a 6-minute job, so she'll be done in no time. 6-minute JB Weld. So we'll coat that. And the reason I'm putting the JB Weld in there, I've actually drilled through this link and it snapped off. So it's completely dodgy. But will it drift? We'll just put a bit more JB Weld in there. Actually, we get it like that. Look at that. That looks factory, doesn't it? What do you reckon of that, Bryce?
Do the job, mate.
Come on, is it quality or what? Look at that. It just sets JB Weld. What can't you do? Rightio. So the reason we put the JB Weld in there was basically these arms are just been, camber links have just been drilled into there and are going to fall out because we've actually drilled through where the shock bolt was. It's been drilled through. So yeah, this is just an experiment to see if it's going to work. So we've achieved full lock by moving the camber link there. So it's got the lock. Our next issue is going to be the turning circle because we can't get enough throw on it. So these were donated by one of our drifters, Captain Morgan. So we may change the steering blocks, we may not, but we may just move this arm out of here. We may move that over to that hole there, and we're going to try and get it more lock. So if we can get more lock and we can get the camber set, this thing might be right for a drift tonight. Rightio. So things have changed. So what I've done here is I've moved the ball stud, which used to be on the steering arm. So steering arm, blah, 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 blah. That used to be basically out there. So it was a lot further out it was. So here's a Yokomo steering hub, you can see you've got 3 different options there. You can move the steering in or out. So if you put it on the very front hole, it'll be super quick steering, no doubt. And if you put it middle, it'll just slow it down, and right out there would slow it down. So that's just the angle of it. So what I've done in this case, they are the associated blocks. I've got them on the inside. So this is the first time we've actually managed to get some steering throw here. So remember now we've got lock. This is just the original arm, so I'll put that on there. So let's turn him. So it's got way more lock. It does hit there. So if you look on the tyre, right there, see it's hitting on the link. Now I could swap that around the opposite direction. We can try that, and it goes that way. So if we go that way, it is then running out of steering rack. So the rack there is running out. So we turn it that way. So the rack runs out of throw, but it's got a ton more lock. Not as much as all these fancy drift cars, but it's a huge improvement on the lock. So I think I might just have to try it like that. I might move that link around and see if it's a little bit better, because it'd be good if that was just going that little bit more. So we'll try that and we'll move that around. But geez, I'm hanging to try this thing. So it's dodgy, but we'll give it a crack. Rightio, the drift track's gone all quiet on Friday night. You gotta eat some KFC, boys. This is why it's quiet. It's chicken time. So all drifters are eating at the moment. KFC. Rightio, so Frankenstein buggy works. Is that remote on, Dave?
Yeah.
Just turn him on a sec, show the steering. So, we have some decent lock out of this thing now. Had to extend the steering. Dave had one of these little brassy things and we pushed that out. We've got decent steering that way. We've set the gyro. We just want to get down. It's Friday night. This has been probably about 2 Friday nights of mucking around to see if it works. So we won't worry about any of that stuff. We'll just turn this on. Frankenstein buggy, the first associated drift buggy. Let's go see what it does. Rightio, Buggy, let's go to the drift track. To the drift track we go. Buggy's coming, boys. See if we can get on these. Right, buggy time.
Is it a boat? It's a plane. Fuck me, it's like 300 wide. Takes up the whole track at once.
Rightio, so Joy's back on the buggy. Oh, he's starting to get the hang of it. Could you do a bit more throttle power?
Yeah.
Okay, pull up in the car park, I'll give you more power. It's right now. Rightio, so Buggy's about to get driven by Nick. Let's have a look how Nick goes. How long you been drifting, Nick?
2 days at least.
He's about a 2-day drifter, he is. This is Nick's first lap. They all managed to do backies. You've done one too.
What do you think it needs, Nick, for a bit of adjustment?
The gyro's not on assist, is it? On those micro switches?
I'm not sure.
Because it seems like it's on assist, like it's over
Compensating?
Yeah. So we'll pull it in, because the micro switch hasn't been changed, that'll make a big difference.
Okay, let's bring her in and we'll give it an adjustment, eh?
Yeah, Buggy's in for some fine tuning here.
Yeah. Nick has given it some adjustments. I'll leave the body off. Does it feel easy to drive now?
Yep, it's like a normal car. Gyro won't make anything right.
Oh, they're into him. He's an off-road car, so he'll be fine. So we've got Terry having a drive now. This is his very first lap. Okay, Terry, what's your thoughts?
Hey,
What's your thoughts, mate?
if I'm not get used to this gyro.
Gyro's a bit different?
Yep. The 2 rounds warm up first.
Okay, for the final word, Nick. Nick's been drifting for about 2 weeks. What do you think, Nick?
Oh, I'd buy one.
You buy one? You can't buy one, mate. This is an old buggy. Just buy a proper drift car, not a buggy.
I've seen them at the salvo, it's $30.
That's where this might end up. So at the end of the day, it does drift not too bad, but it's not a drift car. But it is drifting, isn't it, Nick?
Yeah, it's smooth. There's around the track.
Yep. But she's not a drift car, she's just a buggy. It might end up back on the off-road track, but it does drift. Anything will drift with enough muck around. Holds angles. What do you give it out of 10, Nick? That's the score. That's the...
For a buggy,
Yep. 1 out of 10?
3 out of 10.
Okay, gets a 0.3 out of 10 from Nick, the 2-week drifter.
It's ready for competition.
Yep. Is it ready for Drift Missouri or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
25 and 2.
Yep, there we go.
Another South Indian some people take it off. Terry, look at it.
Rightio, so it's late night at the go track, everyone's gone home. We've done some more tweaks to the buggy. So it's got pretty much zero camber in the rear. We've got a teeny bit of toe out in the front, probably about, what do you reckon, 2 degrees? And yeah, so this is the best it's drifted. It's still got a buckled front wheel. But we've managed to make the associated buggy drivable as a drift car. It is not a drift car, it's just the front end, so the tweaking. Battery life overflow, so we'll give it a charge. I'm having to drive now, I'm not one of the better drifters. We'll put a bit of weight on the back too, about 40 grams. It'll probably do some shock work too. So if you did shock work to it, Nick, what would you do? You'd soften it right up at the front, wouldn't you?
Yep, and stiffen up the rear.
Yeah, so you'd have to find pretty fancy springs for this because they're buggy springs, so you can get pretty soft associated springs. But it does, it actually drifts quite well. The track's quite slick at the moment. He's had a bit of Mr. Sheen on it and stuff. Everyone said it was a bit of a slower track than that. I think it's probably the best it's drifted all night after these last couple of weeks.
Rightio, so how did the buggy end up going? Well, it went pretty damn good. It's very, very rudimentally slapped together. So it ended up with plenty of steering lock. We did some adjustments to the rear camber. So we zeroed that out and that really helped it. We ended up putting some weight on the back. We put 40 grams on there. Obviously softer springs on the front would have helped for transfer and stuff. But it is not a drift car. It's just an old Team Associated buggy. Why did we do it to it? Because these things are basically worthless unless you're a collector. As I said, Associated buggies, there's always a new model coming out. Since this one was released, I think there's been 5 models and that'd be in a short 3 years. So this is just one of many that sit in cupboards around the world that never get used. So as a drift car, it did work. The chassis could be tweaked and we could put it back to an off-road car, put some arms back on it. But the front end, which ended up being consisting of Traxxas camber links everywhere, bits and pieces, we had to extend the steering. See that there? We had to get everything right. But it did drift, and you've seen that on the video. Not a drift car, but it was a fun exercise. I think the next one I'll do is actually build a chassis from scratch and we'll build a tube chassis drift car. We might do that. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the Team Associated buggy. It did drift, but I don't think we'll just throw it back in the cupboard and we'll find another project.
What?